order of business is approval of our minutes when committee members have had a
Motion to
chance to
adopt.
review. I would
Second.
entertain a motion, so y'all are way ahead of me. We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Item number 1, authorization to select TTL and negotiate scope and fee for the Mercedes Force Main Phase 3 project. Welcome back, Mr. Gurney.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The map on the screen there shows the location. Mercedes is kind of in the center. The sewage from Mercedes goes to the east. That force main, would be the third phase of repair on that force main. We've had about 3 overflows in the past 2 years. So the scope of this project is replacing about 2,600 linear foot of ductile iron pipe with PVC or HDPE. At this point, what we're asking for is a permission to negotiate scope and fee with TTL. We had advertised a request for qualifications to get an engineer. We had 9 submittals and the committee chose TTL. Once we get done with this, we'll come back with a engineering contract and ask for reapproval. The funding is CWSRF.
What was the main basis for the choice?
Of TTL. Their staff experience, they have experience with this line. They also have relationships with A&M, the SRF funding, and then Aldot's and Aldot right away. So,
And we had
John?
9 submissions?
9
That's-
submittals.
Good.
Oh, wow.
That's encouraging.
Mr. Fail?
Brian, is
I
this
don't
the
have any
line
other
that goes on down to lift station 42 or not?
It is. This is upstream of 42. Eventually it gets to that point.
Brian, this, if I remember, this pipe's just deteriorated. It just needs to be replaced, correct?
Yes.
And this is the only
I
one?
mean, it's being deteriorated. It's not
Okay.
deteriorated.
In the process of.
Is
Was in
that,
the
now, wait a
process
minute,
of
what was your word? It wasn't ish. What was that word he said? about
No, I
funding?
don't.
It was, what was that word again? Could you please repeat that for the committee?
Any questions?
I forget. I'm gonna remember that in just a minute. What was that word? I mean, what date was that? I'm gonna have to go back and pull the tapes.
I'm good.
All right, any other questions?
Motion.
Second?
Got a motion, a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion number 1, or I'm sorry, item number 1 is approved. That was motion number 1 too, wasn't it? I think. Item number 2 is approval of bid award to Lavender Inc. for the Moody Swamp Outfall line repair project. The total is $805,264.46. Brian?
Yes, sir. This is, again, there's a map there. The Outfall line, which is the line that carries the clean water, the processed water from the wastewater treatment plant to the river. There's a section of that has little voids coming up where it looks like the joints are beginning to fail. So we're replacing 500 or 460 linear foot of that 48-inch concrete pipe with ductile iron. We had 4 bids, and Lavender was the low bidder. The funding is 2022 B bond. It's in the middle of a cleared easement. It's like off a dirt road. It's kind of
Not
not
hard
very
to get to.
impactful to anything.
Not hard to get to.
What's that?
So it's not hard to get to, yeah. Right?
Not if you know where you're going.
This, from my learning, you say the joints are
Yeah, the pipe is-
deteriorating?
Yeah, they were wrapped with like a corrugated metal band, the concrete pipe was. And so you can start seeing the ground on the surface start deteriorating. And some you can see it deteriorating down, like the ground has gone to the top of the pipe. And some of the joints are starting to like separate.
I don't have any other questions.
Any other questions?
So moved.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 2 is approved. Item number 3 is approval of professional services contract with Markham Architects for design and construction services for a new building to be constructed at the Public Safety Logistics Complex. The total is $89,000. Tim?
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So this is to build what we're calling alternate 2 at the Public Safety Logistics Complex. These buildings were originally constructed in 2012. Initial design included the base bid and 3 alternates. 2 of the base and alternate 1 were completed as part of that original construction. And what we've asked John Markham, who's the original architect of the property, is to go ahead and update design for alternate 2, and this also includes bid and construction phase services with him, and John Markham is here with us today.
What kind of buildings are these?
So these are all
modular?
metal, sir?
Are these modular buildings?
Well, they're metal buildings, and so a lot of, everything is, pre-designed, sent to a metal building manufacturer for them to produce that, ship it to the site, and then construct it on site by the contractor.
So that's what Markham will be doing, constructing it on site?
Well, he will be doing the design work for the building, yes, sir. And then we'll be working with TPD, who will ultimately go in this building to ensure that the layout of the building meets their current needs today.
What I'm trying to understand is are we then also paying somebody to build it?
Yes, sir. This is
just
the
design.
design, and yes, sir, we would take this to bid at the completion of design, yes, sir.
Okay, so it's not a modular building?
It's not a modular building, no, sir. It is kind of pre-manufactured from the initial design. It's sent to a metal building supplier who then produces the material and is then shipped to the site to be constructed on site.
Okay.
Other questions? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
I got it. Where's Mark?
He's right here.
Come on up. Come on up.
Up where?
Come on right here.
I'm not being dense. I'm just trying to understand. This is a pre-manufactured metal building,
It's a pre-engineered metal building.
pre-engineered.
Correct.
So what does the design involve?
The pre-engineered metal building is a component of the project. It is not the project. All the other two buildings you see on site, they're pre-engineered metal buildings. There's civil design, there's foundation design, there's plumbing, mechanical, electrical, structural design, there's life safety. It's just, it's a typical building. It's the only thing pre-engineered about it is the structural system. So that's, if that answers your question.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Second.
Thanks, John. Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 3 is approved. Item number 4 is approval of a minor public works contract with Patrick Allen Companies for replacement of window at Fire Station 10. The total is $4,669.60. Scott, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. So we're at Station 10 looking to replace a window with a bronze aluminum commercial thermal window. We had in the past, it will be funded through facilities renewal.
Questions?
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say
Aye.
aye. Aye. Motion is approved and item is approved. Item number 5, authorization professional services agreement with Vector Airport Systems LLC. Jeff, welcome. And Scott.
Good afternoon.
I know y'all are excited about talking about fee collection and billing.
Very.
But I've tried to provide some additional context and kind of how this step fits into the rest of the things that we do at the airport. Kind of going back to 2012, we implemented new fees at the airport. 2016, we did a revised rent study. We've updated the game day fees and special event fees various times. And we've been able to make some pretty good improvements, almost 300% since 2015, in the amount of annual revenue that comes into the airport, try to offset the costs that go into that. Historically, those fees have been collected by the FBOs who would say that's a manual method, a manual transaction on the day that they come. This kind of transitions into an electronic billing. It logs the aircraft information, it invoices the owner, and then they collect the fees on behalf of the city, and then they'd have a revenue share just like the FBOs do and send us the check back each month. So there's been various recommendations by the Airport Advisory Committee. This kind of established when they're looking at future game day seasons. We're seeing the expansion of the SEC, the ability to host playoff games. We're seeing there's going to be a higher frequency of these high volume special events. We wanted the capability, and their recommendation was to have a more scalable fee system. And with the amount of staff that's involved in our current methodology, this allows us to have a lot more options down the road. So we wanted to set the foundation by working with Vector Airport Systems, an industry-proven solution. They have a partnership with over 90 airports and have been in operations since 2005. So we feel like this is something that we can be trustworthy of. We looked at the revenue models, looked at some various airports that currently uses. They're very happy with it, and very happy to recommend this today. Implementation, this agreement does not change any of the current fees, does not involve the collection of fees of based aircraft, no equipment installation involved. It does require a modification to city ordinance, which Scott will reference. We've talked with our commercial operators. They're happy about not having to collect city-related fees. It's a 3-year agreement with two one-year options, but at any point where there's an exit clause that if we're not happy, we can buy. I think it's a 60-day notice in the agreement. So we're excited about this next change. It does produce a possible net revenue increase. That's really just based out of the ability to capture more aircraft that we're currently missing today.
Question?
How much revenue are we trying to collect out there? $1 million, $5 million, $250,000?
Currently, we've collected these fees around $200,000. They're projecting that we should be collecting around $315,000. When you take their share, it gives us a net increase around $50,000 to $70,000.
I'm sorry, currently it's around 200.
Yes, sir.
You say based on their input, you think it could be around 300. And then what was the last sentence?
So you take their 20%, that brings us back down to about a $70,000 net increase.
Net increase?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how do you find somebody to do this? Do you put it out for a RFP or?
We've actually looked at them in the past when we made some past changes to our game day fee, so we already knew about them. Just some nearby airports, knowing that they have a good relationship. That's how we started our initial discussion with them.
Okay, so what's involved is somewhere between $200,000 or $300,000 at 20%. That's the magnitude of what we're dealing with.
Yes, sir.
So as Jeff mentioned, the way we currently do it is actually imposed upon the FBOs in code. And so in tandem with this, you'll see a code amendment come next week that just removes those sections of code that say the FBOs have to collect this money.
Do we impose it on them at a fee they get? Do they get like this?
They get
This group is getting to keep a cut. Do the FBOs
they get
keep
a 10%
a cut once
commission.
we?
Yes, sir. They get a 10% commission, but my understanding is it's more of a burden for them than it is.
Probably very labor intensive, isn't it?
It is.
And they're responsible for billing for our airport, these
Correct.
things, right? Not us. They're
They
doing
are.
it for us
The
right now.
Vector Airport System is.
No, I'm talking about currently.
Yes.
Yes, they when they come through the airport, they'll bill on behalf of the city.
And Jeff, we talked about that this morning, the billing. Can you share with all of us the timeline of the bill, like every so often, the number of weeks between each bill?
So they'll collect every day the aircraft coming into Tuscaloosa, and they'll generate a report. In about 2 weeks, they'll send us a report and say, hey, is there anything on here that you know that's not supposed to be charged? We'll give them a thumbs up, and then they'll submit the invoices out to all the individual operators. They have different means of submitting their payment to Vector Airport Systems, and at the end of the month, each month, they'll submit the leftover portion, the leftover revenue back to the city.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Move second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item number 5 is approved. Item number 6 is authorization to execute a memorandum of agreement and permissive use permit with Kentuck Museum Association for the 2024 Kentuck Festival of the Arts. Welcome, Brendan and Ms. Kay.
It's not Miss Kay, it's Miss
Oh,
X.
That's
That's
actually
excellent.
going to come up with.
Need to
This,
listen.
we're excited to be here today. This is to finalize the memorandum of agreement with Kentuck Museum Association for the event this year, about 60 days out or 75 days out at Snow Hinton Park. We're here to answer any questions. I'd like to thank the council and obviously Kentuck and Mayor Maddox for giving us this opportunity. We've had a lot of fun in the process. I think we're going to have a fantastic event. I think Exit and her team are getting some good feedback from the artists, so I'll let her share that. But any questions from council on the agreement? Yes, sir.
Not the agreement so much, this is probably, my wife is really concerned about the electrical outlets, and I've told her we're gonna do better than it has been. Is that, am I lying to my wife?
It won't be the first time.
The plans I've seen, you're not.
So, I'm sorry, what was the concern?
The electrical outlets, so we're
The
gonna have enough.
concern was, is he lying to his wife?
Well, we're gonna have enough electrical outlets
It's
to
gonna
help
take-
them, because
She's watching.
with
It's gonna
Kentuck,
take more and more.
everybody
questions
needs
for
a
that.
plug. you know?
Right, so we went back and we re-examined where
Okay.
we were, and we're doing this at all the parks, just as, as times change, needs change also, and we're trying to keep up with that. So we have installed several electrical outlets throughout the park that, with multiple events, coming in the future.
Okay,
So we should be fine out there. I mean, we always need power. We might have to have some generators from time to time, but electrical is definitely a big component of this park.
thank
And we have a staff person at Kentuck that is purely responsible for making sure that the artists get where they need to be so that they have power if they need it.
Brendan,
Yes, sir.
can you give us the 30,000 foot level, kind of the services we're gonna provide in this
Sure.
agreement? And then Exa, I've got a couple of questions for you. I just would like for you to give an overview of the number of artists, what the expectation is, how this kind of new partnership is changing some things y'all are doing. If you talk a little bit about that, I'd like to hear that. But Brendan,
So,
Please.
and big credit to city staff and team members, K-Day, Katie Beth, I see Tim and Eric, TPD. We got a laundry list, Public Works. Primarily the in-kind services that we'll be providing are gonna come from arts, entertainment, environmental services, TFR, TPD obviously, and construction facilities around with some public works. So that's our commitment to it. We're roughly, approximately, and Ms. Standards can correct me, we're estimating, and I would say this is very conservative, about 110 to 115,000 in in-kind services. That's about $20,000 more than Northport did. The team members have been conservative, anticipated maybe a little bit more this year because we don't have everything fully calibrated, but we'll be able to dial that back after we see how this year goes. So we're pretty much in line with Northport, which is a big credit to our staff. And also to Kentuck has been absolutely fantastic as a partner to work with, and made it quite easy, to be honest, to get through this portion. So I'll let her discuss the fun part with number of artists and the excitement.
So we have slightly over 270 booth spaces at Kentuck. And that's not 270 artists, because some of those booth spaces, like the Quilters Guild and the Fiber Guild and the Forge Council, have multiple artists. Some of them, like the Red Dog Potters, have around 30 members who show in those booth spaces. So really, all total, it's about 315 to 320 actual artists who come. 2 full days of musical acts, 2 full days of spoken word. For the past several years, we've had the Poet Laureate of Alabama, who's been one of our featured speakers at that spoken word tent, which, if any of you have been to Kentuck for years past, you'll remember that Catherine Tucker Wyndham was the first person who started telling stories at Kentuck. So that is named after her. It's a really important part. Not just that, but the whole festival is a really important part of our community, but also the arts in the state of Alabama and nationwide. This is a lot of times what people who are into the arts know about Southern art and heritage is what they come to our festival to see, because a lot of them, this is their one-year trip to the South.
Wow.
So I think that really speaks volumes about what we offer as an experience, and we are so excited about stepping this up in the city of Tuscaloosa, because you all have been so wonderful to work with. I have to commend you that your staff, they try every avenue to make something work and make it beneficial for both sides, and that is absolutely how we operate at Kentuck. No one ever says, that's not my job, and that's crucial to the experience that we deliver to our guests, to our artists, and to the people that we work with. So thank you very much for that. We normally anticipate 20,000 guests. This year we're anticipating more, because people are genuinely curious about how it's going to be in a new place, and they're excited about Snow Hinton Park. I've talked to so many people who are just so excited about the accessibility and how nice the park is. So I think that's going to really bump up our attendance this year.
What are the dates again?
October 19th and 20th. Tickets are now on sale.
I had to ask you, is Madison Latimer coming this year? Coming?
She is not. She hasn't applied in a few years. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, you'll have to reach out to her next year
Maybe I've
personally
got
and
one of her-
tell her.
Her famous paintings. at the
Yeah.
house. So, anyway, questions from committee members or other council people?
I'm excited.
Just to say, yeah, I
I think
agree.
y'all have
Yeah.
the opportunity to blow this one out the top of the tent. Who's in charge of the weather?
God.
Brandon.
And we
Another
pray
good
a
answer.
lot, let me tell you.
Now, I will say that I've already heard from the mayor of Brookhaven, I call him that, lives across near Brookhaven.
Yes.
Yeah,
And he's very concerned that.
Mayor of Brookhaven.
Yeah.
yeah, I
He's
know who
very
you're talking
concerned
about.
that cars, that he said, I hope they'll have police keeping them out of their neighborhood from parking.
Yes. Well, Tuscaloosa PD has all of that. We've already met with them. They've delivered us maps. I mean, they have been fantastic to work with.
Yeah?
Chief Rice, do you have anything to add to that?
No, sir.
Okay.
You summed it up perfectly.
I will say there is some natural parking benefits in the location as well that I think Eggs and her team have been able to leverage. So that should make it a lot smoother maybe with some
He
of those
just didn't
issues.
want driveways.
Yes, of course.
Well, this is exciting.
It's very
And I
exciting.
think our
Never
goal,
got out of Captain D.
as we get a little bit closer, is we'll update council, your office, mayor's office, with any kind of nuts and bolts and details and just little things to make, if you want to come get a preview or something, obviously after the park opens, we'd love to have that and have y'all out and come check out the experience.
Has the time passed for artists and for people to apply to be part of the festival, or is it still open?
For artists, the applications have closed. Yes,
Right.
we've already assigned them booth spaces and taken their payments for their booths. But for concessionaires, it's still open. VIPs, still open.
Important for people out there to know. Any other questions? Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Moving second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very
Item
much.
number 6 is approved. Is there any other business to be brought before this committee? Our next meeting will be next Tuesday, August the 20th. I would if there is no other new business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say